Hi, this is Tapcat, and welcome to part 1 of XCOM Chimera Squad. We'll do a full playthrough of the game on impossible difficulty, and I'll turn on subtitles for your sake, just in case the audio is ever unclear. I have experienced crashes in this game, so I don't want to activate Iron Man, because if that lone save file gets corrupted, that would literally be the end of the series. For the same reason, we won't be trying hardcore mode, although it would certainly be a challenge. All it takes is one death at any point in the campaign to lose the entire game. But enough with the preliminaries, let's get on with it.
Tonight, Mayor Nightingale perished in an explosion at City 31's Memorial Museum. The identity of her assailants is unknown at this time. The City Council asks citizens to remain...
So she gets vaporized the same day XCOM sends Chimera Squad to our city? You hear that voice in your head? That's me telling you to wake up!
Despite opposition, Mayor Nightingale's deciding vote brought the Reclamation Agency to the city. Without her support, Chimera Squad's continued presence is an open question.
Okay, so when you play this the first time, at least if you use the tutorial, we don't get to pick who's going to be in our squad. They just feed us a list. So this is kind of a new experience for me. But the first pick for me is Terminal. She's basically your medic. And you can win without her, but I'll tell you, on longer missions, it's really difficult not having a healer, and she's basically the only one in the game. We're also going to take Patchwork, and we'll go for Axiom. He is kind of a fun character who uses a shotgun and also can do melee attacks. And this is kind of tough. Maybe I shouldn't take Patchwork right now. I kind of want Godmother and Axiom both, but I guess we can start with one. And then we'll do Verge. And as we go along, you get to add more. Now, the interesting thing is there's 11 agents that you have access to, but in any one campaign, you can only take a total of 8 for your crew. And then the other 3 you just don't get to see. So at any rate, we'll talk more about what these guys can do, you know, as we go along. For now, let's just go ahead and get this party started.
Chimera Squad, heads up. Director's on the line from XCOM HQ.
Chimera Squad, I know you're still settling in, but this cannot wait. A short time ago, insurgents crashed the opening of City 31's Memorial Museum. They took Mayor Nightingale hostage. 3-1 PD attempted a rescue, but the insurgents triggered a plasma bomb. Everyone inside was lost. Yes, 3-1 PD should have requested our help, but dwelling on that is counterproductive. We need to focus on what we do next. A crude plasma bomb killed the mayor. The insurgents had no access to materials for that.
Does that mean they had outside help?
Most likely. There are 3 groups in City 31 with access to this kind of ordnance.
Okay, so at this point, we have to basically pick one of 3 factions to investigate. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just clue you in. The way this works, we're going to pick one, and then we're going to, fight them to their conclusion. And then we're just going to work our way through all 3 in sequence. So it doesn't really matter who you pick first and who you fight last. We'll go ahead. These guys are psionic in nature, and why not? We'll go ahead and fight them first. So the Progeny it is.
The Progeny have a small but loyal human membership, all with psionic capability. Victims willingly hand over what the Progeny need, then forget the whole thing. The perfect crime.
Director, these are local criminals. Isn't that 3-1 PD's jurisdiction?
True. The Reclamation Agency supports local police, but we're also required to recover dangerous material.
From those who would do the world harm, and each of those groups is neck deep in the stuff. So what next?
Focus on a single group. Investigate, dismantle their operations, and take them down.
Meanwhile, we look for any links to the mayor's death. Either way, A dangerous organization is off the streets.
Exactly. The city wants justice for Mayor Nightingale. This is how we help them achieve it.
By the way, Director Kelly, who was just talking to us, that is Jane Kelly, the sole survivor of the XCOM 2 tutorial mission. So there's just a fun little Easter egg they put in the game. So this screen you'll have access to throughout the game, and it keeps you posted on how you're doing in your investigation on the current faction. So right now we don't know who their leader is, and we have very little information or developments because, you know, we just opened it. We haven't really done anything yet, which is fine. Now, there are multiple areas that you can kind of man, I guess for lack of a better word.
Check it out. Headquarters sent us an assembly. And with the right patterns, we can build anything. Or we could with the latest version. What you're looking at is the extremely finicky 2038 model. It'll take time to stress test our patterns, but once we have them, we're good to go.
So this is basically a substitute for research in XCOM 2, where there'll be different things that we can unlock. Anything we do in here basically sets it up so you can buy it in the supply area. But the prerequisite to everything else is doing Android personnel. So I'm going to go ahead and begin that now. Now, if we were able to put an agent in here, we could cut that time in half. The problem is right now I need 4 agents to go on missions, and I only have 4 agents. So as we recruit more, then you can start doing things like this.
I'm authorizing Chimera Squad for special operations. Some ops provide useful resources for the squad. Keep an eye out for these opportunities.
So this is another area we can man if we choose to once we have more people, and more things will get unlocked. But right now we can spend 3 days in here to get some credits or intel or Alarium. These are all 3 used essentially as currency in the game. You need Alarium to do some of the assembly projects. You need credits to buy things from supply. And you use intel for something I'll show you in just a minute.
When you aren't on mission, you need to maintain your skills, physical and mental. Training is the place to do it. It's also where you can adapt to any lasting wounds received in the field. So don't let those wounds linger. You'll pay for them in the long term.
So training, as he said, is used for a couple of different things. Let me just show you an example. We'll put her in here. So right now, the only thing that's available is we could put her in here for 2 days and increase her health by 2. That is actually not trivial, and it can come in really handy over the course of the campaign. But over time, she'll get new abilities that we can train her up for. And also, if your guy gets hurt bad enough in combat, they get a scar, and you can remove the scar in training. It's very handy. Let's go here. So the armory is where you can access each of your agents. We can look at their loadout. Now, right now, I don't have a whole lot of options here. We are going to want to bring a breaching charge. Basically, that'll let us blow our way through a wall. I'll get into that later. So anyway, yeah, we don't have anything we can do here yet, but trust me, that'll open up quite a bit. Let me think. I'll give Verge the breach item. And we could buy things, by the way. We won't spend any more time in here because right now there's not a lot to do. We'll go to supply.
Our temporary field office has all the basics. Weapons, comms, and ammunition. Supply is where we request everything else. And as long as it's in the squad's budget, it's ours.
So right now we have 130 credits, and you can do some basic things like this. We don't really need a key card because we have a couple of hackers already, and this will kind of get you through a security door that, you know, if you don't have one of them, We already have a breaching charge. A medikit is probably the main thing that I would do, but I don't think we're going to fool with that right now. Let's kind of save our money. Actually, you know what? I am going to do this. I'm going to buy trank rounds.
Welcome to City 31. During Advent's occupation, the city was a fortress supporting an active starport. 5 years after XCOM won the war, it's home to aliens, hybrids, and humans alike. There's new industry, self-government, and local agriculture to support the varied populations. Against all odds, this city thrived after the war. There were no retributive attacks.
Until tonight.
We don't know that. Not yet. But we can find out.
Okay, so, sorry, I actually clicked on the wrong button, but what I had wanted to do was to come back into the armory and give this to Axiom, and I'll explain why now. So, under utility item, we're going to give him the trank rounds, and basically what this lets you do is you can full on shoot somebody in the face with his shotgun, and instead of killing them, you knock them unconscious and capture them. And that's to your advantage because if you capture a certain number of enemies on a mission, you get a bonus of 20 intel. And you really want to try to do that every time because it really adds up over the course of the game and you need intel. And let me show you very briefly what you need it for, because this is the screen where you, well, it's one of the places that you'll spend it. So in each neighborhood, if we click on here, you can choose between different types of field teams you can set up. And depending on which one you do, you get these different bonuses. So the first level, if we did finance, we'd get 15 credits income every Friday. If we did security, we'd get 10 intel. After you place the field team, later you can upgrade it to level 2 or level 3, and it adds these extra bonuses onto that. Also, there's a smuggler's, I forget what the name of it is, but it's basically a black market, and you buy items using intel. So it comes in handy. So at any rate, intel's a good thing. And as we go through the game, you'll see that. Meanwhile, there's only one mission on the board. There's a lot more that will be going on this screen, but rather than try to explain it in the abstract right now, I'd rather just go on a mission, and then as things are actually happening here, I'll explain it then, and it'll make more sense in context. So let's go ahead and investigate the progeny. And if we are successful, we'll get 30 whole credits reward. That's pretty exciting.
Hostile forces need leadership to function. If authorized by the director, you may need to neutralize a hostile leader. Subduing your target is always preferred. Enemy leadership, if captured, provides valuable intel.
Okay, so this will be a mission with 3 encounters, and I'll explain more about that when we get there. But see, there is a breach option with a wall, so we'll definitely be happy we brought the breach charges. And there's also security doors, so having the 2 gremlin users along, you only need 1, but they will come in handy. So let's go ahead and head out. Just wanted to think for 1 second to make sure we're not forgetting anything, but I don't think we are.
PD asked to speak with this company's owner about his connections to the Progeny. That's when his staff pulled weapons, and the police barely made it out.
I've read about human workplace violence. Shameful behavior.
Right away, we have multiple options. Successful shots on enemies will crit. That's really nice. First unit through this entrance does +3 damage. That's also great for the first person. And all units through this entrance get 50 dodge, plus 50 dodge for 1 round. All units, but there's only 1 slot. So, let's take her and put her there. And plus 3 damage. Nobody is going to get an accuracy bonus, so he's already my heavy hitter. Let's give him a chance. I normally go with Verge. Actually, we're going to do this. So I'm going to go Axiom here, and then Patchwork, and we'll do Verge. But now this is where you can kind of adjust things. See the order. This is going to be the turn order as we go in. But I'm going to do this and move Verge to the top. And then we're going to bump her down to the bottom. All right. So having done that, we are ready to breach, baby.
We shall move in.
Open sesame.
Okay, so nobody is behind cover, I think. Nope, this guy is. But that's alright. Verge, I forgot. He doesn't have Levitate yet. That's an ability he'll get later that's really good against people behind cover. Since he doesn't, I'm just going to take the high percentage shot here. Now I should point out, see how this whole thing is blinking? That doesn't necessarily mean you're guaranteed to do that much damage. It gives you the range, so like Verge probably was able to do 3 or 4, and unfortunately he just did 3. I just want to look and see what all's out there. Okay, well, this is the guy with the most health that I have a really good chance to hit. And if I do hit him, I think we're going to take him down. Beautiful. And I'm pretty sure we just want to shoot that thrall. Do I want to go for this guy, though? What the heck? Alright, so we have 2 wounded. And that's fine. In hindsight, if I'd have known she was going to hit for 5, I would have gone the other way with that. But that's okay. Okay, so here's a really cool thing Verge can do. Battle Madness. I can get one of these guys to attack one of the other bad guys. So let's do that. Now you do have to be careful with this, because if there's no enemies near him, he will use his ability. Let me put the Acolyte into a stupor. So this is a great power because it'll stun him for either 1 or 2 actions. Unfortunately, we only got 1, but that still means he loses half of his turn. And since he was coming up, that was well worth doing. So we still took some damage. One of the things that does make the psionic guys a little tough is, pretty much as far as I can tell, there's like no chance of their psionics ever missing, you know? And so that's a bit rough. Now, I think what I want to do with him, since I cannot get close enough to flank, I'll move here. Actually, I'm not going to. We're just going to do this. I'm going to come in and beat the hell out of this guy. I probably won't knock him unconscious, but I'll definitely hurt him. Well, if I hit. Beautiful. Okay. So, chaining Jolt is a lot of fun. Now, in this one, you're not going to see its full potential, because these 2 guys are too far apart. But when you zap one guy, it'll bounce to another if they're close enough. And as the game goes on and she levels up, this thing becomes just insanely powerful. Okay, she's over here. So I tell you what, I don't know how realistic it is. I was gonna use this, but what's my, okay, I still have 100%. Let me do this instead. because I want to be over this way so she can flank him next time.
Arrested another target.
If she needs to. She probably won't. In fact, you know what? All I need to do is subdue him with her. There's a 100% chance of success, and we're done with this encounter. Now, by the way, you may notice this encounter relatively easy. Hang on, I think they're probably about to talk to us.
Hybrids can't move like that. Not since Advent psionic went down.
Psionic impulses direct their actions, but their minds are empty.
So what I wanted to point out is that encounter was relatively simple, and if you think of this in comparison to, say, the first mission you would go on in XCOM 2 or XCOM Enemy Unknown, you go, wow, that's really easy. Yes, it is. There are missions in this game that can be very difficult, but at the beginning in particular, it eases you into it much more. And I would say the difficulty kind of has a way of ebbing and flowing, you know, as you go along, rather than just every mission being really tough. So let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to breach. So this is where the security card comes in. So the good news is there's fewer aggressive enemies at this entrance, but they're harder to hit. I don't love that. And over here, a door where you don't need anything at all to get in. The first unit gets +1 armor, which is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and give that to Axiom. And honestly, I think I'm going to live with more aggressive enemies and just forego not being able to hit guys. So let's go ahead and breach. By the way, I'm sorry I didn't talk about this. Another thing very different from XCOM 2 or Enemy Unknown is the way these encounters start, because you don't have this thing of exploring a map anymore and then stumbling into a group. You go into a room using the breach mode, and then your guys kind of dart for cover and you play that room. And then either the mission will be over or you go to another encounter. Sometimes they have reinforcements as part of an encounter, but you know, it's not structured the way missions and mission maps were in previous XCOM games. Okay, so I want to just check and see what's what here. Now, no one is what they call aggressive, and that would mean they would return fire during breach mode. So basically, I'm just going to go for my best chance of hitting here, I think. None of these guys have abilities that are so scary. I admit I don't love Acolytes, but his chance of hitting is so much worse. Let's just see if we can thin the field. Beautiful. And this is great. See, Verge has a much better chance of hitting this guy, so let's just do that. Good start. And maybe she can finish if we're lucky. Beautiful. And we even 3 to 5, we have a decent chance of taking the Thrall out. Not quite. I will say though, not at all uncommon in a breach that you'll take out 1 or 2 enemies, especially as their health starts going up. If there's a number of them with really low health that you happen to have, you know, a really good chance to hit, then, you know, that's great. You can take out more, but a lot of times you just get a couple. So, we have 3 left. Why do I only see 2? I see this Thrall and I see this Acolyte. Oh, okay. There's another one. All right, got it. So, Axiom. I cannot get up there, right? It's just not really a thing. Yep. He's the only guy I would be able to get into melee range for. And I have to make it all the way over to these stairs. Okay, that's kind of rough. So here's what I'll do. I'll come here. Oh, that's not a good spot, is it? Oh no, I'm okay. I'm okay. It looked like he wasn't going to get cover at all from there, but he is. He's not flanked. Now. Oh, it's horrible. Well, I was hoping it would be better than that. Because even this is pretty crap. You know what? This isn't something that I normally do. I'm tempted to do preparation because I would go earlier next turn and it would be much harder for them to hit me. The other alternative is I could go on Overwatch because these guys are very likely to move. But you know what? From this distance, his shotgun is probably not going to be great, especially at this level. So, yeah, not something I expect to do a lot in this playthrough, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now watch, they'll probably just beat me like a rented mule here, but... Okay. Verge. Now, I have the option, if I want to, of coming over here and flanking him. And alternatively, of course, I can again do something like Battle Madness. But I think, actually, I want some takedowns here. I probably should have used Subdue instead. Hold on a second. Wow, only 84%. Really? Okay. Well, it worked out. I would have liked, you know, I really probably should have used Subdue, but that would have left him very flankable. Okay. Okay. She can straight up kill the Thrall using Chaining Jolt, I believe. But let me come up here and see what she can do. Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. So her shots really suck, but I believe she can just take this guy down. So even though I consider the Acolyte more dangerous, I think what I'd like to do is just kind of clear the board here. So there you go. We only have one guy left. Now, this is where it gets slightly awkward because he's behind full cover. Where is her? She's here. Oh, she's going to have a really hard time. She's going to have a tough time, I think, getting a good shot on him before he goes. But I have an idea about that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here so I can flank him with the shotgun. I have a plan, don't worry. I know it looks like I'm flanking myself to no purpose. And if I get lethal damage, I don't even need the rest of the plan. But all right, we didn't. That's very common, by the way. When it says 4 to 6, you hardly ever get the max. Okay. So she can't get close enough to be able to see him without dashing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to move as close as we can, which should at least let her see him here. When I say she can't get close enough to see him, I mean, and also flank. But we're going to move close. Oh, crap. I just realized I was going to use an ability she doesn't have yet. This is the problem with it not being my first playthrough. I got used to using an ability she had, and it's not an option. Okay, so that means he's probably going to live to shoot. But what we'll do Actually, I have a better idea. I'm going to use team up. So we're going to go ahead and let me use this on Axiom. Because basically, I just did kind of a dumb thing. And, you know, that wasn't the best. Let me heal her. This is a really nice ability. It not only heals, it also gives her a little defensive boost. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and beat the crap out of this guy and subdue him.
Subdue the target.
You're about to enter some offices. Now the owner must be holed up in there.
So yeah, we covered for my little gaffe by using team up. Now the downside to that is that means I won't have it for the third encounter, which is usually the most difficult. But I'm not super worried about that. Now notice that if we didn't have wall breach charges here to go through the wall, we would have to use this entrance. Which is fine, but we wouldn't be surprising them. Now, the bonus would be that the last person would get to land their shot automatically, but if a bunch of guys shoot at you in return, that's not necessarily a great bonus.
Igniting charge.
So let's see what we get. I only see, oh, okay, there's 3 guys. I literally only see 1. Okay, there's an acolyte and another acolyte. I'm way more concerned usually about acolytes than I am thralls, although admittedly at this level there's probably not a huge difference. But let's go ahead and take out the acolyte. Well, we won't take him out, but we'll hurt him. And it looks like, let me see. Oh man, his chance of hitting that guy is much worse. Well, I hate to waste this much of his damage potential, but didn't matter. Even with the better chance, he missed. So let's go ahead and do this. Got him. Now, can I finish the acolyte? Okay. And this points out
There's our VIP. Try for capture.
Another thing here is that just because you only saw 3 during the breach, 3 enemies, that doesn't mean there's only 3 in the whole encounter. You know, there were other guys in this room. Now, the other thing I should just explain really quickly. So this guy is trying to escape and we have to stop him from doing that. I'm sorry, it's not a him, it's a her apparently. So her goal is to get here. And sometimes these guys that are trying to escape, it's very difficult to stop them because, like, literally I've had somebody start as close as this, you know, to the exit point, and they have a ton of health, and yeah, you're just kind of hosed at that point. But in this instance, I think we have a legit chance. Now, having said all that, we have to also worry about staying alive. That's kind of a high priority of mine. So let's see. Yeah. Let's just go battle madness on this thrall.
Unleash your frustration.
See if he'll vent some hostility toward
jagged clouds.
The acolyte, perhaps. Yeah. And then can I go ahead? Oh, he only has a 70% chance, huh? What's my chance of hitting with a gun? You know, I mean, that would put him down for good if we get lucky. So let's try. All right. I just felt like, you know, I only had a roughly 2/3 chance of taking away 1 or 2 actions from the other guy, whereas if we just put him down for good, that would really be making some progress for us. Again, I can't really get close enough to do what I want to do here, but maybe what I could do... okay. Now, I don't want to do that through the door. They'll be able to flank me. Let's just come here. And I think I'll have a decent shot. Well, it's decent. That's about the best I can say for it. Let's try. Good. Again, we wasted a lot of his damage potential, but we did take out a guy. Yep, this is why acolytes are a higher priority for me, because now he's immobilized Axiom. And obviously, I don't love that. Now, I'm going to move her up.
Watch my back.
Swift and steady.
Let's see here. So I could jolt her, but this is my higher priority right now.
Zapping the target. Jolting the target.
Electrifying.
And yep. See, that's the thing. The thralls are way more likely to miss a shot with their gun than the acolytes. They're just pretty much money. They're gonna either nail you with the psionics or immobilize you. And what I want to do is this. I'm gonna take out an acolyte. Beautiful. So that frees Axiom. So now the VIP, there's no way they're getting out on this turn, and they're also much more exposed now. So I quite like that. In fact, I think what I'm going to do, well, before I do that, I'm being silly. Let's go stupor on this guy. Hopefully 70% is good enough.
Your mind falls away.
Oh, he resisted. All right. And interestingly, that seemed to boost my chances there. I'm not sure why. So we took him down. Yeah, I'm not sure why he got that boost. I do know that when you hit people with these powers of his, it puts them on what they call his psionic network. And I wasn't aware of it, but maybe having people in the network gives him a boost to his accuracy? I'm not sure. Okay, so this is actually all right. I have 2 agents that will get to take their turn before he does. So I am going to be able to take him out as long as Axiom does not miss this shot. And it isn't likely that he'll miss, but we could. Well, that is not a miss. And I don't even think I need to move her. Nope. Chaining Jolt is amazing because it's a guaranteed hit every time. All right, so not flawless. We did take a couple of light wounds, but honestly, against psionics, it's going to be pretty difficult to avoid that. Now, we captured 7 enemies, and that means we earned 20 intel. I will tell you, I believe, if I have paid attention sufficiently, for each enemy you capture, you have a 20% chance of getting this intel bonus. So once you hit 5, it's guaranteed. But if you only get like 2, you know, your odds aren't great. You have a 40% chance, but it's really nice to get that every time you go out. All right, so we got our 30 credits. We got the 20 intel. And here's a little, I don't know if you call it an Easter egg because it's right there out in the open, but a little thing that's supposed to be from the archives of a conversation between Bradford and Jane Kelly back when they were first putting this together, and Bradford is taken aback by the idea of putting aliens into this agency. And so, you know, kind of cute.
Progeny went after expensive assets. What's behind their sudden need for funding? They have no love for hybrids, which presumes a motive to kill the mayor. As for means, psionics could give them the ultimate insider, a member of Mayor Nightingale's protective detail.
All right, so we now finally made just a tiny bit of progress on our investigation. Not quite there just yet, but supposedly we have a better sense of Progeny's scope and goals. Okay, so we have the ability to add a new recruit now.
The director convinced the city council we're too understaffed to be effective. This means we can bring more agents to City 31. It's not the whole squad, not yet, but it's something.
Okay, so I'm kind of torn here because I have a feeling that a lot of people probably will want to see Torque. I know Vipers are kind of a thing for some people. Now, for my part, I mentioned earlier that you only get to use 8 of the 11 agents, and Claymore and Shelter both happen to be agents that I did not use in my first playthrough. And I would be really, I'm kind of anxious to try Claymore in particular. So, you know, there's kind of the selfish part of my brain that wants to do Claymore, but I will tell you what, whether maybe I'm only imagining that a lot of people would like to see it, but we will take Torque. And then what I'll try to do is grab Claymore next time if he's offered again, because this is the reality. Like, I don't necessarily get to see that. What is this? Now, this is something I hadn't noticed before. What does that mean? Oh, I see. You have encountered the following XCOM Chimera Squad content across all your campaigns. Yeah, so these are the 3 that I never used, and I just think it's funny that 2 of them happen to be in that first batch that they offered me. I don't know what this means because I have, in fact, completed all of these. So I don't know what that means. Whatever. Epic weapons are something we'll have a chance at later. So let's go ahead and take Torque. Sorry for that little detour.
Torque.
Whisper.
Are we...
Did you get a lobotomy?
Can't say that I did.
Then no, we aren't good.
Well, at least things are back to normal.
Okay, so Torque, like most of them, you know, you start off essentially a rookie. They don't use that term. You don't have a lot of abilities, but she does have bind. She can wrap up an enemy. She does have the tongue pull. She's immune to poison, and she can enter a breach through vents, which there are some missions that have vents. None of us have been promoted yet, even one time, so all of us have pretty limited abilities. There's one that Terminal will get later, and I was thinking she started with it. That's why I made that mistake at the end of the second encounter, where she can actually have 100% chance to hit an enemy, but it doesn't do damage. It just pushes them down on the turn order timeline. All right, I don't want this video to go too long, and we're already running a pretty healthy length here. So let's keep it moving.
More than once, Progeny fleeing the scene seem to vanish without a trace. Figure out how they manage this magic trick.
Okay, so right out of the gate, we have 3 missions to choose from. This thing, you can't go on it yet. It's literally a hidden target. And we have a choice now. If I come here, let me show you. I can take 2 days toward that reveal. So instead of it being 5 days, it should only be 3. And that's kind of important because every day the unrest is going to go up by 1 here. I mentioned I would try to explain some of what happens on here. Because we're playing on Impossible, these missions are being offered, and if I don't take them, unrest will go up by 3 in this neighborhood. So it's quite stiff. On lower difficulties, you know, like it might only go up by 1. I think it was 2 when I was playing on, what is it called, Expert or whatever. But at any rate, there's actually 3 missions we have to choose from, and the thing is, I don't want this to just keep piling up. So we'll probably do that. And we'd have the same penalty in this neighborhood that we do for any of the others. Let's see what the breach points are.
Sometimes we need to infiltrate hostile territory. This usually means we're after important contraband. Grab the contraband and get out. Do not stick around.
There's a wall and a door. We don't have to worry about vents or anything. And then there's only 1 encounter. So the next mission will be much shorter. Although that 1 encounter will probably be more difficult, you know, more enemies and such than we saw in the one we just did. Now, we will change the squad. So here's the question. Who do we want to leave behind? Because I think we should bring Torque, since that's our new addition. How about this? Even though I love Patchwork, I'm going to remove her for this mission, and we'll bring Torque, and it'll give us kind of a new look. And then I already have the breach charges, so we don't really have any other equipment to divvy up yet, and I don't want to start spending money. By the way, these field teams abilities we can't do yet. I would have to place a field team. Now, we could do that before the next time if we want to. This one might come in handy because we can freeze district unrest. So before leaving for the mission, let's say I put a field team down, I could freeze this and then it would not go up by 3. We could avoid the penalty for one of these neighborhoods. And by the way, I should explain. So what happens when it goes up by 3, that in itself doesn't mean anything. But once it hits 5 for this neighborhood, every turn that any neighborhood stays at 5, your city anarchy is going to go up by 1. And it's not cumulative. Like if every single neighborhood on here was at red, it would still only go up by 1, but it would do that every single day. And if this goes to the top, you lose the campaign. So you definitely want to manage this. Now, before I sign off, I don't normally ask for likes or comments or any of that during a Let's Play series, but it does actually help on part 1. So it basically tells YouTube that this video is worth recommending to other people interested in XCOM Chimera Squad. And if you leave only 1 like for the entire series, I would ask that you put it on this video. Likewise, if you could leave any kind of comment, maybe telling me what you think of the game so far, that would also help. And with that said, I promise I won't bug you about it for the rest of this playthrough. When we come back, we'll head out on that investigation mission. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I hope we see you next time.